All right, guys, working on the Bronco here. You can see we got this C-ceiling trim pieces off. We're going to be installing the C-Bow brace that goes into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we'll have rib nuts for these two positions. Here's everything that comes in the kit over here. The brace itself, the bracket to connect the brace to the Bronco, and the trim piece is different than the original equipment. I think the price of this is around $500. I used my Ford Pass points from the purchase of the vehicle to get about $250 off. Ford Performance always running a 20% discount. I think delivered to my local dealership, this was like $180. At that price point, I'd say it's a play, but at its listed price of, I think, $500, that's a tough sell. So regardless, we could go in here to see we already have the original trim pieces off. I think it's best to disconnect these side pieces. These are little trim clips. This fits in kind of like so. So it really wants you to get these side pieces off first. I was hesitant to use metal, so I used some plastic trim removal tools and an old wallet card, old gift card, because you want to get at both sides. You can see the way these clips are. You kind of want to get at both sides to create a pinch. It felt like you could kind of just yeet them off. That's kind of what ended up happening for my centerpiece. And then you want to be careful. You got to unclip this light, and then the new trim piece also has a light, just the connector pulls right out. Yeah, so I used just some plastic trim removal pieces. It seems like you could use kind of anything or just a little bit of force to get them. So with that, let's move on to getting this put together. All right, once you're in here, you're gonna slide these yellow connectors off. These are for the airbags. Be very careful. The white tabs on either side, if you gently push them inward, they will pop out easily. Do that for both sides. That gives you space. You slip these J-nuts on just like so, and that's what will connect to the top of the brace. The long bolts are going to connect to the bracket, and then the only difference between these pink and blue ones are, you can tell the pink one has what looks like a little bit of thread chase capability, and you have two of those. Those are going to go on the underside of this bracket there to affix to the J-nuts that we slid on. I'm just keeping everything just finger tight until we get it everything aligned, and we can tighten it down later. All right, so we're under the bracket right now. When you're putting the bracket in, make sure you pull this tab out a little so you can get the airbag wiring loom out of the way of the bracket. You can see how I loosened it. I just used a little tool like that to pull it out just a little bit. It really doesn't want to come out the whole way, so, but I was able to just create enough play to pass the bracket through just like that. It's those two pink thread locked screws right there, right into those J-nuts. All right, we are all bolted up here. So we added this bolt, that bolt, that bolt, this bolt, that bolt. This bracket was already in place with these two loosely connected. So what I did, and it's the same on the other side, so what I did is I kind of centered it up. I figured you want this one to be flush, so I tightened this one on each side first, kind of going evenly. Then I tightened these ones on each side, kind of progressing evenly. These ones were already reefed pretty good, so I didn't even mess with them on either side. Once the three to the bar were connected, I tightened down the bracket to connect to the brace on both sides. Then I came up top and I tightened those two down, and then I finished on tightening the top two down. That seemed to be the happiest sequence. The install sheet doesn't give a torque spec, not that I'd care to use it. One note is this for me was a T40. I don't know if this was the right tool, but this was the happiest fitment that I could get, and I just used a 1/4 inch socket to use it. I didn't reef super hard, but I definitely made sure it was firm. Definitely not a full handle. I was probably choked up like so. And then if you don't have a 1/4 inch, you could also use a 6.5 to get to the 6.5 metric to get down to this size. But this is just it's stuck in there right now, but this for me was a T40. Yeah, it's stuck right now, but. All right, here is the new versus the old trim piece. You can see all the clips are in the same position. This has the carve out to allow for the brace. When you're plugging it back up, make sure you reconnect the dome light. When you light it up, it pops in pretty seamlessly. Make sure you test your dome light to make sure that works before you tighten everything else up. You're going to take this clip, this is from the original one, and you're going to put it right up there, I believe. And it's the same clip from the original trim piece. That factory trim clip piece, I just reversed it and put it through the top. It's right here. You can see from that bottom shot, it wasn't going to be doing anything. Whereas on the old piece, it held this, which says accessory ready. So regardless, it doesn't have this same contraption, so I just threw it in reverse so it's there if I need it. For this side trim piece, I started in the back, fed it in the two clips that are about here and here, and then forced it into its position up front here, and it went in pretty easy. And then we'll do the same on the right hand side. You can see there's a little RH on this one. The clips go to the outside. Here's a better visual on this side. You kind of just push the plastic in, and my clips aren't in yet, but it should pop right in. Then I'll have to fix this piece with two hands. All right, everything I use for the C-Bow brace install: a couple plastic trim remover pieces, just an old wallet card to help with those small area trim removals, a 1/4 inch socket. All of the bolts in the kit were a T40, the best I could find. This is not in the Bronco accessory kit, so I'm not sure why. It seems to be a pretty common size. If it's not a T40 felt to be pretty tight to me. It's all I had, so I used it. One of these adapter screwdrivers, and then the ratchet to give it the final tighten down. I did not use a torque wrench, so I could not find in the installation manual that they specified torques, so yeah, I use this. It's somewhat helpful, but I feel like this video may be more beneficial to you guys. All right, you can see all of our trim pieces are in and tightened up. Dome light is working. From the outside, give you a good visual of those speaker pods. I am not an audio guy, but I know you audio folks like to see what kind of fitment you can run when you add something like this. Looks pretty tight. If you're going to do an aftermarket option, that might give you an idea of what kind of play you have when you have this C-Bow brace installed. We will call this install complete. Thanks for tuning in. Stay tuned for more.